Welcome to the City Stage and Friends podcast. I'm Victor Johansson, along with Josiah Shostrom.
I love the intonation of that.
Josiah. And Francisco Corrales in the engineering room, as always. Greg, Michael, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
You guys, we want to dive into, you guys have been working together for a very long time. Your company is Solid Line Media. I'm sure we'll have lots of different questions, but I did want to start out by asking just how you started in this line of work and then been able to maintain not only a friendship, I think, and then also a business partner.
We're literally wearing friendship bracelets right now.
The friendship bracelets
that my daughter
that
made
you
us.
made.
Yeah, my daughter made us yesterday.
Don't put it on your daughter. It was you. You were doing this at like midnight last night.
Michael came over after dinner and said, "Hey, we got a project."
It's very touching.
A craft project.
Yeah,
We're doing craft. We do crafts on Wednesday night.
Now, crafty is something I'm interested in.
yeah.
Well,
No, but
Put
you
the
guys,
food
you
table.
started out. So you were friends in high school, right?
middle school.
Middle school, and then guide me through that process. Like, how did you kind of get into the creative element of our work, and how did you finesse that into what your company is now while working together?
You want me to start?
You could start.
So we met in 8th grade. We were actually in Spanish.
Pull this up right up.
Sure,
Just like
sure.
a knuckle away from your. Yeah, there you go.
We were in 8th grade, and we were in Spanish class, I believe. Yeah, it was Spanish class because we had gotten kicked out of Spanish class. We both wanted the same name, and she was looking for a couple people to exit the class. Like I think there was too many in the class. So
You both wanted the same name?
We both wanted the same
Spanish
name.
Like a Spanish
Same
name, yeah.
Spanish name. You had to go around and like pick a Spanish
gotcha.
name. or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So we started fighting.
But we
about
didn't know.
it,
We did not know each other.
Yeah.
We were just sitting across
the
in one.
aisle. Yeah.
Kiko had a comment on that. I'm sure it's relevant.
I was just wondering what was the name.
It was Nacho.
Nacho.
That's
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That is the whitest Spanish teacher.
Right? Isn't it? Is that
Specifically, we're not going to mention the name because we were gonna name our company Nacho Media, but
Yeah.
Oh, really?
no, just kidding.
Good. Yeah.
Actually, he's not kidding. But so we were down at the principal's office trying to, figure out what we were going to do. And Greg had mentioned that he had just gotten a new video camera. And so we started talking video cameras.
This was what year?
Oh, geez.
By 1993.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I had been making videos since I was like, with my parents' high-8 camera since I was, probably in the 4th grade. Very much like the Goldbergs TV show. I was Adam Goldberg growing up. And so I had this TV studio that I had built in my mom's basement. And when Michael and I were in the hallway, it was like, let's try to, do something to make this work for us. Because my brother had went to Eisenhower Middle School, and during his tenure, there was a TV news show class, and they had canceled it because of budget reasons. And I was always looking forward to being part of it. And so when we went down to the principal's office, we pitched to the principal that we, instead of Spanish class, we have this TV studio. We know the budget for the program isn't there, but the system is still in place, the centralized cable system to play the show. So what if we produce a news show and play it for the school? And
And they said yes.
They said yes.
Wow.
Mr. Martin,
Yeah.
the
So
principal.
Greg said, come check out my video camera in my basement. So I went over to his house and
Get in
Check it
my
out.
van first.
So Michael walked through the beads, and, and the rest is history.
So we started doing that video,
Very
that
entrepreneurial,
news
by the
show.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then people started hiring us to do picture videos. So back then, you actually had to film pictures and put them on a timeline for them.
For like vacations and
Yeah.
weddings and stuff.
Oh.
So people would give us like $100 to do
Yeah.
a picture video, and we take that money and reinvested it in new equipment. And then we started doing weddings and dance recitals and local commercials, and that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah.
Wow.
The dance recital business for us was huge because back then we would, set up 3 cameras, and we actually switched it live and recorded it on tape. And our girlfriends and parents were outside in the lobby at tables selling videos.
Yeah.
Now dance companies make that a revenue stream for them. But back then it was just like, hey, you guys, we're not going to pay you, but you sell the tapes. It's your profit, and we would be selling these tapes for $50 or $100 for the whole weekend,
Dang.
and selling.
That's a lot of money. back
100.
then.
It's still good money.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we would be making $5,000-$10,000
Wow.
selling dance recital
Jeez.
tapes.
Dang.
I did something wrong.
I know.
It was crazy. It was and there was a guy in town, a duplicator that we work with, and we'd constantly be going and getting another run of 150 tapes
Yeah.
or 200 tapes, and back in the day when you had to deliver your product on a tape. You guys
Yeah.
probably don't know anything about that.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm maybe a little older than you think.
You guys look so young.
Thank you.
I'm probably younger than you think.
I have 5 children.
Victor's.
I've been married to 15 years,
Yeah.
to give you a little frame of reference.
How old are you?
And I started on DV Cam.
Oh, DV cam. All right.
Okay.
All right. So you're in your upper 30s?
Mid 60s.
Yeah.
21?
Yes.
Yeah, Victor's probably he's still 17.
He's still in
not
high
even-
school,
Yeah.
but
I'm actually 14.
it's the beard that makes him look a little older.
Yeah.
Just a little premature.
Yeah. He actually looks old for his age.
I do. Yeah, I'm 29.
Yeah.
I always, ever since I was 18, but people have thought I was in my early 30s. So
Yeah.
I actually did a couple play recording things back
Yeah.
early
So did I.
on.
Yeah.
Set up a few we didn't switch it live, so we had to edit it, which was sucky,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean, we had to fix our, like any live production, we still had to go back and make some edits.
camera guy missed this move.
Yeah,
or
it was
something.
never a smooth thing. But I remember we had this jib we bought. God, it was I can't even remember what it was called. But
I don't even know if it had a name.
it was attached on the top of a tripod, and cameras up there, but you had no controls.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the camera on the jib, and the jib was 12 feet. But I mean,
And you probably can't control the camera
Oh, you
remotely
couldn't
either.
control it. There's
Yeah.
no power head, no camera controls, and I mean, so it was just a guy in the back with some counterweights up and down this 12.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 12 feet. It was, and it had extenders, so we would make it as big of a jib as possible. Man, I mean, from an insurance point of view, I mean, at any moment,
yeah.
We didn't have insurance. We were in high
this
school.
camera was just moments away from falling off. I mean, it was the thing
Ending
was,
your career.
the thing was so rickety, and but the
amazing.
shot was cool. Back
Yeah.
then, it was this is
it's
mid
next
'90s. We were like, man, look at this shot.
Wow.
It was all S video, right? S
We
video.
were filming.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we were filming on a SVHS back then. That was the premium.
And back then, to get long SVHS cables was super expensive. So I mean, I bet you we had thousands of dollars of just cable investment for live.
for the live switching.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, and when one of those cables went bad, it was
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get that this little digital flicker thing, and then you're like, man, that cable's done.
Yeah.
and we didn't know at the time that
But
you
there-
could
there's-
maybe switch ends.
There's a lot of thought that even goes into that, because I did that for a couple of years, and then I was like, this is too much to send out to each person the final. I did DVDs to send out to have somebody out and kind of selling and buying or selling really the DVDs and also editing and all that. I was just like, this is too much. But for high school, that's a lot of thought that goes into that. Like, how do we price this? You know, so that's a good little little starting point.
I can't believe
for
you
the
got
rest.
$50
That was a lot.
Yeah.
so
That's
much.
crazy.
And everybody had
But they're like, well,
checkbooks
my-
back
my
then.
kid's in it,
they
so
would
yeah, of course.
just hand you checks right then and there. You'd get paid before you'd even deliver.
Checks or
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you had to design a label.
Yes. Yes.
And we
It's
had
all about the
We had to
presentation.
stick the labels. So the duplicator charged extra to stick the labels, and we stuck the labels ourselves.
35 cents. We
Yeah,
can do
30.
that.
Yeah, exactly. So Michael and I would,
100%.
we'd get all the tapes back, and we were like, everyone's sitting there, and we're going down the assembly line of sticking the labels, and
Was
if you
this
had somebody,
Eagle Video, or who was doing
It
it at the
was
time? Yeah.
not Eagle
no.
Video. It was
Eagle?
next to Eagle Video.
It was Video Duplication
Hale and
Specialist.
Nancy Conti. Yeah,
Yeah.
Video Duplication
great,
Specialist.
great,
yeah.
so much fun to work with them. But the labels had to be straight. I just remember, and if you
would see
you
it.
only
Yeah.
had a small
It's a
space, and the label
Yeah.
filled the whole space. You have to really get in there. So
Yeah.
people were helping us, and they didn't know exactly how to get it on there right, and then it was crooked, and you're like, this is not okay. And so then you try to peel it off, and it
I'll
would
take
be
that
all over the
35
tape.
cents back from
So
you.
then you're
Yeah.
scraping it off the tape, and it's just
So fast forward 10 or 15 years,
Yeah.
and it evolved into DVDs. So in our office in Chicago, we had a whole, robotic DVD printer.
Oh, really? Wow.
It started with an R. Do you remember the name? It was super expensive. But yeah, so we would print our own DVDs, and then we'd have the towers to
You
make
continued
DVD
that business,
copies.
yeah?
We did.
Oh.
It was actually about 10% of our business, even when we got in the corporate world.
Wow.
Selling, and then just one day, literally, it just stopped.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like a slow. It just
it was like 2010 or something.
I guess that was our last one, guys.
yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, I know.
It was
the iPhone
amazing.
came out.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really was. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's weird when you think about how quickly technology has evolved. You guys know,
Yeah.
but even since we started in 2001, I mean, we were delivering our product then on VHS. That was the deliverable. Up until about 2006 or 7, which is when people started switching over to wanting DVDs. And then DVDs were a thing until 2010 or 11. I'm kind of making
Kind
these
of a
dates
short run, really.
very short
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
And then it was digital files.
What-
And it's so
so-
crazy how quickly we evolved to
Yeah.
what is now. Like, we have a big show next Tuesday, and I'm finishing my file prep to go to the stage tomorrow, and I'm literally bringing a hard drive that's this big that has accumulation, 65 or 75 files on it, video files that we produced over the last 4 months. It's accumulation of thousands of hours of work, and
Yeah.
this is what I'm coming to the job
Yeah.
with.
Don't lose that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually back in the day, we'd be coming in with like a truck.
Yeah. Or if I'm filming on like a big card for a day, and let's say it's like, I don't know, 30, 40, $50,000 production, and then I'm like, I hold the entire day right here.
Right here.
Yep.
If I just chuck this or throw
It's
it down the
over.
toilet,
Yeah, it's over.
it's done. Everybody.
Yeah.
So
So
you
I'm
got to back
curious.
that up 4
Yeah.
times.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
even like if you go out to lunch or dinner at the end of the production. I mean, that goes with you. It's like at that point, hey, you could take everything we own in the truck, but you can't
Yeah.
take this. Like
Yeah.
this is going in my pocket.
So our DP Rob Warren has a belt that he wears that has a little pouch. It's like a money belt, but that's where the hard drive goes.
That's good call.
so when we're traveling.
So if we want to rob you guys,
and that's, I shouldn't say
go
that.
for that and then hold it for
Yeah,
ransom.
don't
Jeez,
don't rob
You can
him.
have our equipment. You just can't have our files.
Yeah, if you rob him and take the money belt, you're going to be really upset because there's no money in there. It's going to be a hard drive of worthless stuff for you.
I'm gonna have to kidnap the dude himself, probably.
At what point?
Changing my business strategy as we speak. Here.
But we got robbed in San Francisco. Our production van got broke into. We got $120,000 of equipment stolen.
Oh my
And,
God.
and it was at the end of the shoot, and it was a very big shoot. But guess what? The
card was
footage
there?
was on Rob's person.
And that was the first question we asked.
And he's like, I got the footage. Because
We're like,
we
okay,
weren't on
whatever.
the job. Rob
We have
texted
insurance.
us.
Yeah.
And then it was like, he's like, I got
Wow.
the gear's gone, but I got the footage. And we're like, this is why we do this.
Yeah.
So it's just a good lesson to learn.
That's been happening a lot in
Yeah.
California, LA.
California's a
bad.
very
They
safe
found
place.
her too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's in prison.
Well,
Her
good.
name was Javina.
Javina. She's the
She
one that's
stole
been
us.
robbing everybody.
I know.
I hear.
You could mix those letters up.
I
And
know. And we had to
We did.
yeah, you did.
we had to be part of. Yeah, they made us testify and be part of the whole thing. So there
Oh,
must have
wow.
been some assets or something that this person had, and because I don't know why our insurance company would have gone to the lengths that they did to try to recoup the cost. But for us, it was. I mean, we got the stuff replaced and we moved on. It sucked, but
She
it
must have
wasn't.
sold it off or something. Like
She,
you didn't get the stuff
I mean,
back.
she still.
Yes. No, we didn't
she
get
broke
anything.
into the van. She got some Anton Bauer. What are you gonna do with Anton Bauer batteries? You know what I mean? As like a.
I mean, she
who
was
are you
looking
gonna
for
sell that to?
iPads and
I mean,
Yeah.
she got cameras
stuff like
and
that.
lights, but
Yeah.
really, the specific gear that she probably sold, but didn't get near what it's worth. If she was selling it, I'd
Yeah.
been like, look, I mean, you can get more for
Pawn
that.
shop's like, I don't know what
Let
this
me
is.
help you. Let me help you sell this because
I'll
this
take a
is,
commission on it, but like, look,
I
you'll
know
get
some
way more.
guys.
I don't want our gear back, but I want you to get the best bang for your for your efforts here. This is crazy. 'Cause
So I'm curious. At what point do you guys go from doing this in high school, and then you go, okay, we could actually make
This could be a legitimate
real
business
job.
model.
How do you transition into an actual company from there?
Or did you ever?
we're still working on
we're
it.
still trying to figure out what we want to do when we grow up.
Yeah, for real.
We both went away to college. We ran our business in high school. The whole, it was pretty busy. That's what we did for our job, you know, and made a good amount of money for being that age. And but had the opportunity to go to college. We both went to different schools. I went to University of Iowa. Michael went to Florida State, and just kind of did our own thing for 4 years. But we always were talking, always strategizing. We always wanted to start our business up, and we thought corporate video was a thing and was going to be a thing. And worked out our business plan. And in our senior year of college, really, you know, we got together a bunch of times, sat and strategized. We had like a weekend retreat at the Heartland Inn in Iowa City, where we had Big White. My friend worked there, so he got us to the boardroom, and
Oh, wow.
we had this whiteboard. We were strategizing plans, and
That's cool to make
names
it
and-
official like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's like, this is our
Treat
first
it
board
like it's
meeting,
a real
you know?
thing, right?
And we started. We got out of college, and we went on the hunt for money. We had some money saved up that we were putting in, but we needed 70 or 80 grand to buy all our equipment and stuff. And so we were trying to find a bank that would fund us. And we had a really beautiful business plan. We worked with a guy. We got introduced to a guy. His name is Len Lapasso here in Rockford. Just an amazing guy who helped us connect with a bunch of banks. We got after we got a bunch of no's, we connected with Len through some family friends. And Len started to present us to various banks, and he presented us to Associated Bank, and they took a chance on us. And I remember the guy's name was Tim Lau. He actually went up the ranks to be close to the top, and he just retired. But back then, he was working in Rockford as like the lead commercial loan guy, and he's like, "Look, I don't know what this video stuff is. I don't know if corporate video is ever going to be a thing. Remember, this is 2001, but
Yeah, 01.
we'll take a chance on you and
Wow.
see what
Lo and
happens. I
behold.
love you guys. I love your business plan, and we'll see what happens." And they gave us the money, and 5 years later, YouTube was formed.
Yeah.
And so the rest is kind of history. I think we started at a pretty good time.
Yeah.
But
no kidding.
and we've stuck with Associated Bank ever since then. They've supported us with every single thing we've wanted to do, with very minimal questions about
This episode of the
what we were
podcast
doing.
sponsored by
Sponsored by-
Associated
really,
Bank.
though. I mean, I don't know. They're great they've been great to us. So banks
That's good.
banks sometimes are
good to
tough to
hear.
work with, and it's just really nice to have such a good partner.
Yeah. So, what was the business plan? I'm curious as to how you formulated that, because when I started this by myself, there was just take on as many people that wanted videos and produce cool stuff that
I mean,
they
that's
liked.
pretty much what the business plan said was make money.
Make money. Yeah.
Bring in more money than you spend.
People are always like, "What motivates you to whatever?" It's like, I mean, we like making videos, but
Yeah.
we're in this business to put food on the
Yeah.
table.
It'd be really interesting to kind of dig that up and see what it says. But I know we did after about 5 years. And I mean, we were way off. Like looking at the business plan that we had created in 5 years in the business.
What?
I mean, not way off, but I mean, there was a lot of things in there where we were like, wow, we didn't even think about that.
Well, one big miss on our half, which we wouldn't have known back then, but we didn't have like any money budgeted for a motion graphic artist. That really wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
But it became a thing
Very
in about
quickly.
2003 or 4. It really became a thing, and we started to have these people doing animations and graphics, and so we ended up having 2 graphic people on our staff by between 2003 to 5.
Yeah.
And that, it was a big expense, but and that's obviously been a huge part of our business ever since then, is the
That's
graphics department.
in-house too. Yeah.
In-house, yeah, they were employees of ours.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
yeah, I mean, we've always been able to keep 2 graphic designers busy pretty much on a full-time basis, but it's a hard department to be profitable in, just because of how much time and effort it takes to get the work done.
It's more of just a,
When you do it,
necessity.
you have to do it.
It's a
but
lost
it's not-
leader. That's
I
what we
mean,
always say. It's
yeah.
definitely a lost leader. And clients feel that it's easier to make changes on graphics too. So I feel like that's always the educational part, that you're always trying to get approvals and that kind of
because
stuff.
good motion graphic artists and 3D, they're so talented and skilled, and but it takes so much time. You guys know it just takes so much time to do really good quality motion work, and so we make it a part of as much as we can, but we try not to overdo it, just because it cuts into the profit, and you never can charge enough hours for most clients to for what you're putting in. If you want to, let's make this a little, we can do better with this. But it's like, yeah, but,
That's coming out of my bottom line.
Yeah.
And we do. That's our biggest problem in our business is that we still to this day have a hard time locking something up without internally being like, let's.
Yeah. Now that I'm seeing this for the 51st time, I got an idea.
Yeah, and then sometimes
sure.
we're like, gosh, we're just
Yeah.
we're not getting paid for this, but
Yeah, always refining.
we're making it what we want it to be, and then you send it to the client, and then they're like, yeah, we got 1,000 changes.
Great. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah,
At what point?
every client has 1,000 changes.
Yeah. At what point do you remember where it kind of felt like officially that you were operating this new business? Like a first client or a first big change that happened?
I'd say we got invited on the City Stage podcast.
Yeah.
That's when it became real.
You're welcome.
I remember. Well, here you have. What's your answer?
You can tell the story better than I can.
I don't know what your story is.
Well,
but
I think I know what story you're going to say. Genesis
Geminis.
or Geminis?
Yeah, well, you tell us.
No, you tell.
You can't even say it.
I can't even say.
Well, we weren't even.
You guys work together, yeah?
This
All
was
right,
our
I'll tell the
first-
story.
Okay, let's hear from him.
It just goes
The horse's mouth.
Thank you. We're going to take a break. We didn't even have an office yet. This was our first job that we got that was pretty big. Well, I'll roll it back. Our first actual job was for Wesley Willows here in town.
Yeah.
And my mom knew Bill Pratt, who was the CEO, and set us up with a meeting. And we were like, look, we want to make a video. We're getting started. We want to use this video as our promotional video. We're willing to do it for basically next to nothing. It really wasn't a job. It was, they paid us a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Proof of
our
concept.
first meeting was on 9/11. And we were
that day.
yeah, that day.
Wow,
we were
wow.
leaving Palatine to come out to Rockford as the towers were getting hit, and we were like, what's going on? And
Yeah,
so
why is
we
there
sat in
jets
this office.
flying over?
Yeah, we sat in this office
fighter
and just
jets.
watched the news basically,
Wow.
and we're like, what's going on? So, it was obviously not the best day to have your first official business meeting, but it did turn into, we eventually produced that video, and that got us like a demo. Because, it's like, hey, we actually made a video for someone. And then we used that to market. We created these kits, actually VHS kits that we started sending out to a lot of places. And we got an opportunity for this organization in Maryville, Indiana, and called Circle Around Families. And they provide opportunities for kids in need in the area. But we got hired for that job. But I remember when we got hired, we were at Michael's parents' house and doing something. And the lady called and told us that we got the job. And it was $12,000 job. And that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Still is a lot of money. And I remember taking that, my phone rang, my old Nokia cell phone, and I went out.
The one I played
Yeah, it was
Snake
you.
on.
And I was like, let me just. I went out and I talked to her, and I came back in, and we were just celebrating, because it
Yeah.
was like,
We made the big time.
yeah, it was like, this
Wow.
is like,
That's
we have been hustling and working, and we just got a job for $12,000, and it's not a family friend.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
it's something that we did on our own, and that just gave us not only a lot of gratitude for the efforts that we had been putting in, but validated a little bit that maybe this is going to work out.
Yeah. At 12,000, that can carry you for a a little bit.
Yeah,
especially
and we
then,
didn't have
20
much
years ago.
expenses.
Yeah.
Of course, then we were like, let's get that office in Chicago,
Yeah.
which we did end up doing pretty quickly.
Was it that year?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But we started going to Chicago chamber events and networking events, and we met a guy who had a advertising type agency, and he had a space next door to him that they were trying to sublet, and he just told, hey, you guys, check this out. And we went and checked it out, and it was an old law firm, and we didn't need all that space. I think it was 4,000 square feet, but we said, hey, we'll take 1,000, and they made a deal with us because they were trying to rent the whole building to CDW at the time, and so they didn't want to rent it long term, so they did a 1-year deal with us for $1,000 a month. It was so cheap for a Class A office building on the river in Chicago.
Wow.
And we got got a door with a sign on it, and it was really, really kind of cool. And but we
Especially
took
the door with the sign.
yeah,
on it.
Yeah.
we took two offices.
That's worth $1,000 a month itself.
But the rest of the offices down the hall were vacant, but it still looked like our business.
Yeah.
And so we hung some stuff around to make it look like it was our whole thing. So when clients,
Oh yeah, Janice isn't in today.
Yeah,
but
sorry,
that's
yeah.
right. She's just like fake names
don't
on your
go,
door.
don't go look in there because those offices are just gear storage and trash.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
But it was like, we did that, and then we had the Chicago address, and then we started to, get like people were just like calling. It was weird,
Yeah.
and when the phone would ring, and we started doing Google. That wasn't Google, but it was Yahoo and Bing.
Yeah.
We work with this. My brother is a few years older than me, and I just pretty much followed his playbook at his company for all the marketing they were doing, but online advertising wasn't a thing. And so we started to put money into online advertising. He'd be like, hey, do this. We were really successful, hire this company. It's called Overture, and they,
So
set up
this
their
is
ads.
like maybe
we were like one of the
05
first
at this
to do
time?
Yeah, it was
SEO.
05. And then we did that. And then, I mean, dude, our company, our website was just number one for video. You would type video production
Yeah.
in
In
Yahoo,
Chicago.
everywhere. When we were in China, I searched video production. It was number one. Everywhere we ever were at, our company was number one for like 20 different video production keywords for about 5 years. And that's how we grew our company. I mean, our phone just rang all the time.
Wow.
That's how we grew our business.
Incredible.
And then in 2010, 2011, everything changed with the algorithms. And
Yeah. And
Google and
I'm not understanding. You said you were one of the first to do CO?
SEO.
SEO.
In
Oh, okay,
video
okay.
production.
Gotcha.
Like for those
Gotcha.
keywords. So
like
that's
nobody
kinda-
knew in 2003. Like SEO was
Yeah.
nobody
Just
knew
put
what that
stuff out
was,
there.
but
It wasn't like a thing.
I have to thank my brother Brian for teaching us what he was learning at his company. It was a software company he was working at, but he was like, look, there's this thing called search engine optimization, and you can get your website to show up at the top. You can also pay, there were still ads, but we were actually, organically getting our website, and there wasn't no competition. No one else was doing it. I mean, most video people didn't even have some people didn't have websites back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
It was crazy.
what were your startup costs? I'm just curious. I actually have two questions. Kind of what were the startup costs? Because website building back then, that was expensive. Gear was way more expensive.
Oh yeah, and big.
And huge, and you had to have a lot more of it. And then, maybe not a lot more of it, but it was bulkier, not as small as it is now. But also on top of that is, what would companies? How would they use like the VHSs? Like right now, we go to YouTube, where websites, a lot of that stuff lives. You hand them a VHS as a deliverable. What do they do with it?
And what's the meaning of life? That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we parse that out a little?
Well, so let's start with the startup costs. I might be slightly off, but it'll be close enough. I want to say we both put in 25 or 30,000 each, right? I want to say our first was about 60,000 total we had, and then we had borrowed another, let's say 60, 70,000 for equipment. So that was our start off costs to begin with. And what was the second question? Was it equipment? You mentioned something about equipment.
No, because everything that was just like everything was more expensive. Building a website.
Sure.
So starting up, where did all that money go? Was it like to?
So actually, back then, building websites was, I'm sure there was companies that did it, but we didn't have the means to hire a company. So we actually found a freelancer. It was actually,
Okay.
it was, I know who did our graphic design work, but who did our first website?
Joe.
Good old Joe.
Because remember, wasn't it Andrew Marcus's?
Maybe.
But we had somebody. I don't even remember. But we found somebody that just, in their dorm room created like websites.
And you
for
can
us.
go to you can go to archive.org and see the first Solidline website.
Yeah.
Ooh. Hey, Kiko. Is there any way you could pull that up?
It's very, very, very fun to look at.
We had a little audio glitch, but we're back. Kiko, were you able to find that website? Your
Okay.
mic's not on.
I did, but there's I don't see it popping up.
It's not
All
appropriate.
right. Well, we'll have to.
Okay.
Well,
Well, that'd been fun to.
It might not be that website. There's some website you could
Okay.
see old versions of web.
Yeah.
web pages on. It's
Yeah.
pretty fun.
That would be fun. So startup costs were, so you found somebody that just did it from a dorm room.
Yeah. And I mean, we paid him. It wasn't like a free gig, but
But it's not like paying a company that designs. That was my thoughts. That's probably very expensive at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it was probably less than $1,000 we had paid to get our first website created. Yeah.
But when we were in the heyday of like our SEO efforts, we were spending probably about $40,000 a year on that effort, but bringing in, all the business.
Enough to justify.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot, and that was the only marketing we ever did.
That's crazy.
We didn't do. I mean, we went to some networking things and this and that, but we weren't. We weren't even sending out promotional kits like randomly, like just, to people that we thought might want to hire us. If somebody submitted something online, we would send out a kit up to a certain point when video became good enough on the internet that we didn't have to do that anymore. We still sent out our demo reel. It was a VHS kit and then it turned into be a DVD little package with the brochure and all that. Stuff in there.
So the second part of my question was what would the client do with a VHS when you'd hand them off as a deliverable?
The finished product.
I mean, I think to start off, kick off meetings, maybe even like they still would today, they would play them before a meeting.
Hype video.
But I mean, I would say on average, pretty much when we were done with a project, we would make several hundred copies, right? When you say on average.
Depends. So if the video was if it was a video for, let's say, a video that, like a sales video for a company, right? They would get the videos, they would distribute the videos to their team.
Brings up a little closer.
Sorry, they'd get the videos, they distribute the videos to their teams wherever all around the country, and then they would they would go into, when they go somewhere to make a presentation, they'd put it in the little video cart, or I say video cart because it was a TV on a stand. And they'd show it, or else if it was a video that was being used in different offices around the country, every office would get a tape, and then they'd play the tape before meetings or whatever.
Okay.
The problem with one of the big reasons why the shift from VHS to DVD took so long is because people had especially companies had invested all this technology in these video carts, and stuff like that, and so they had to swap out all the VCRs for DVD, and then eventually all the CRT monitors for flat screens, and from a corporate purchasing point of view, that doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah, they're always lagging.
And to make sure that they didn't accidentally invest in Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Or what was its Blu-ray's competitor at the time? The
Laserdisc.
Yeah.
There's another one though too. It was DVD HD or something.
Wasn't it? Lost out. Yeah.
And then you had, because you had formats too that who's going to win? You had Betamax or Betacam, which was a camera format, and then when the cards started coming out, you had
Beta SP. I think was the format. Betacam might have been the name of the camera.
But then there was, when cards started coming out, you had like P2 cards.
Panasonic.
You had the I don't know. Sony had a card. Everyone had a card, and it was like, who's gonna win the card war? And it ended up being like, well,
no one.
Which
makes YouTube's watch this.
Which makes it much more difficult for creators.
We did do quite a bit of projects too for just commercials for TV. So we were doing a lot of mastering for TVs too, which I think was DV Cam, right? I think that's what we were shipping, or Beta SP was kind of how we had to deliver those files as well to different TV stations.
Okay.
Yep.
And because it's a different kind of presentation format at that point. If it's not YouTube, so your edit is going to be geared for people, sitting inside these companies and watching it on a TV, which is, I feel like there's going to be some thought into that.
Captive audience.
Yeah.
It's definitely more of a captive audience.
And one, thing about that was that when you made a decision on a video back then, that's pretty much it. Because I'm going to make 1,000 copies.
Can we go back and
around.
Change that? Yeah, and reship these 1,000.
Nowadays, we tell our clients all the time.
Yeah, good point.
We get into these discussions in an edit, and it's like, well, I'm going to change this. We just this. So many things. And now you got Frame.io, so it's like every second, somebody's putting some. But
Frame.io is great.
It's great, but it also increases. It also increases client comments. But
it's true.
It's so easy.
Yeah,
so easy. But now we tell our clients like, hey, we can continue to tweak this, or let's get it out there. let's get some feedback from the actual audience, who's going to be viewing it, your customers, your employees or whatever. And then we can, tweak it in a couple months and see what goes. Yeah, it's kind of like use your audience as the focus group for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we can change it because we can do that now. Couldn't do that back then. So the decision, the deciding factor of being done and duplicating the stuff was a lot bigger of a decision.
Talking about the love for client notes. Somebody sent me, or I saw this meme basically of the Mona Lisa with like a bunch of client comments, like ripping apart the Mona Lisa. Can we, this area is a little bit dark. Can we, her smile is so ambiguous. Can we be the more, that's pretty hilarious.
Have you seen the infographic about
And
the
it's like Friday
website
night.
where it's like this beautiful website and then, it's perfect, but let me just get some feedback. And then, hey, I talked to my spouse and, they like this. And my spouse's, mother-in-law likes cats. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
No, but it sounds,
I haven't seen it, but
It turns like a beautiful website into just like the most hideous thing you've ever seen.
I mean, client feedback is, obviously we aren't the experts, we need it. We need to make it right. We value the feedback. The problem comes in when, the team isn't assembled correctly in the beginning and we get new stakeholders, excuse me, and we get new stakeholders chiming in at the end of a project.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I call it
That's a
making it
good point.
different. Like we're at the point where we're no longer making it better. We're just making it
No,
different.
that's good.
Oh, yeah, that is. That's a good differentiation.
Because, we didn't realize that, we thought we're working with this group of people and all of a sudden we go through all these rounds of changes and we think we're at kind of the final cut picture lock stage of a video. And it's like, oh, now we're going to show, the CEO, or now we're going to show some. And then of course that person is going to have a round of changes. So we're always trying to communicate up front to say, look,
Get them in early.
like, let's just, if we make these changes, like we're not going to have room in the budget to continue to make more changes. So are all the stakeholders involved in this round of comments? Are you going to send it to someone else who's maybe going to have another round of comments? We don't want to get into that. We don't ever want to have that discussion with our clients of like, look, we're kind of at the end of our budget.
Yeah.
And you want to make another round, because then they're like, well, we didn't know. And so,
that's where communication comes into play. It's just
Well,
be
yeah.
like, hey, we're eating away at our, how much more of this do we want to go?
Well, and that's a good story that happened in our business years and years ago, probably 2010, 2011. And there was this company we were working for called Shopper Track. And our client was a great guy. And we were wrapping up this video and he kept having comments.
His office was right down the street, so it was easy to come in and do in-person edits.
He'd stop in and he'd always be stopping by. He'd think he just liked hanging out too, But he had more every week. It was like another round. And we were kind of getting frustrated because we're like, I got to get this done. Got to wrap this thing up. We're like losing money on this project. And finally we had to, talk to him and said, John, we're just like, this has to be the last round of edits. Like, it's just, we're way over on this project. And he respected that and said, I understand, whatever. And like a week later, he called up, or he stopped by and he said, hey, I just want to talk to you guys about something that might be a good lesson for your business, is that, I wasn't upset at all when you said that we were at the end of the budget. I respected that. He said, but you never said that.
Yeah.
You never told me, you never communicated to me about that. And so I kept tweaking it because I kept wanting to make these little changes and you guys were okay with it. So, you got to be more upfront about where we're at in the process. And, Michael and I were like,
I guess so. That makes sense.
yeah, of course, we got to use our words.
Yeah.
I mean,
But then there
most
is
failures in life are communication related.
Yeah. Well, speaking of communication, how do you guys manage, because we're in a kind of a strange industry, and everyone in Rockford, especially if you're working with locals, everyone's so close. So you have this personal element, and then you have, and for you guys, it's a friendship, and then you have the business, right? So marrying those two together, I can foresee some problems that would come up. So how have you guys been able to manage running a business and then being friends at the same time and for so long?
I would say is not marrying those two together.
Or is this a facade?
Like,
Yeah, we don't.
Really? Okay.
we honestly had a conversation before we started Solid Line Media. I mean, we had run the business in high school together, but before we started this business, we actually had a very serious conversation with each other and said we need to separate the friendship from the business aspect 100%. And I would say we both have respected that. There's not even one instance I can think of where we've ever put the two together. Like we could be at a heated business argument over Zoom, and then an hour later be at a party together and not even bring it up or even think about it.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Wow.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, we hang out socially or vacation together or whatever, and we won't start to even, I mean, we try not, I would think that other people probably wouldn't say that we don't talk shop, but, you know, we do talk shop, you know, sometimes when we're not supposed to be talking shop. But, yeah, we try to keep it separate and enjoy our friendship time together and then enjoy our business time together. Or if we have to have a business conversation in a social setting, we kind of do it on the side. It'll be like, hey, remember, I got to get this thing tomorrow, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So, because Michael manages the post-production side of the business and I manage the production side of the business. So everyone kind of thinks like we do the same thing. Like, oh, you guys run the company, so you just whatever. And we're so separate
Yeah.
for our responsibilities. It's pretty crazy.
That would make it easier, I suppose.
Well, and it wasn't like that the first, like maybe let's just say month of our business.
Okay.
It's just like, okay, so you're going to run the camera? I mean, really, like we and then we
need a camera guy.
So then I think we kind of figured out like, hey, what's your passion? Let's, you know, kind of work at this together and figure out you do this, you do that, you're in charge of this. And so, I mean, we quickly realized that we can't both do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that like a very conscious decision throughout the week, just like mentally separating the business and the friendship? Or is it like kind of routine?
It's just we've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just kind of how it is. You know, we will work and we talk to each other on Google Chat, Google Meet, Zoom, phone, or text 100 times a day. You know, but we can talk all morning and work on stuff all morning and then go to lunch, which we often do with a friend or two, and like literally talk no business. And then go back to our offices and be back on the phone to each other talking about business stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we just really can turn it on and off.
Yeah, it's great to
And
be able
people
to
all the time are like,
compartmentalize
how do you
it.
guys not, you know, hate each other? And you're like, I mean, this is just what we've done our whole life, and we haven't strayed from keeping it separate, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just think I thought that would be difficult too, because the personal I feel like it would creep in, you know, when it's business. But
Michael's the voice of reason in our world, you know. So he's the calmer one who can kind of work through the problems a little bit with a more of a level head. I'm very much more the, you know, the one that's like, son of a bitch.
yeah,
And so that's why when we got these, my daughter made us these friendship bracelets, and it's actually a different company that we run called Salty Lime.
Salty lime bracelets.
Salty Lime. So these say Salty Lime, and one of them says salty and one of them says lime. And this morning, Michael was like, which one am I? And I'm like, come on. You're lime. He's
what's
like, well,
the
you
other
are
business?
you are the salty one.
The salty lime?
Yeah, the other business you guys run.
The friendship bracelet business?
Oh, were you just kidding?
No.
No.
Now we have a property investment company called Salty Lime Homes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Oh,
we
very
have
cool.
2 properties, and, you know, just something on the, you know, that we're trying to do
Yeah.
that's different.
So
but fun.
Kiko, I mean, I feel like now's an appropriate time to bring out the margaritas. If
Yeah,
that's
that's right. Yep.
You can bring up that website if you like. The Salty Lime.
there you go.
The
Salty Lime.
No Salty Lime.
Where are your
Marathon.
properties?
No, it's not.
Salty Lime.
Embarrassing.
Wow. I do the marketing.
Kiko makes a pretty good Paloma too, if you're into that.
Yeah, Salty Lime Marathon. It's a 6-bedroom, 6-bath home in Marathon, Florida. You can rent. So there you go, on the
Yeah,
water.
that's right. You were telling me about
It's
that.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
We spent 2 years renovating it, and it just opened up. So
Very cool.
just had our last guest last week. Our
Your last guess.
That's
Hopefully,
Grand
opening,
Thanks, folks. Take care.
grand closing.
grand opening, grand closing. No, yeah, our first and hopefully not last guess.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you guys want to do the podcast down there sometime, we could, set that up.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, let's do it.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump into what kind of projects you guys are doing now. So how would you describe the work that you do? Because video production, you say you do video productions, like entails a lot of different stuff, right? And I'm sure for you guys as well. But would you kind of put a type of videos category to your business?
I'd say that we do high-end corporate marketing, promotional, training, educational videos. So our ideal client is a company, organization who's not afraid to spend some money on the content, understands the value of a high-end level of production and having a team of people that's going to work on it together. You guys know, being in this business, that a lot of people just are all about the budget, and our clients are definitely about the budget, but at the same time, they understand that they're not going to do this internally. They're not going to have their uncle or cousin make the video, and they really want somebody who's going to bring some creativity, art direction, focus to their message, and do something special. So those are the kind of clients. Most of our clients are, we sort of have these three verticals that sometimes it feels like we're sticking within, sometimes it doesn't. But the logistics and transportation industry, we do a lot of work in that. We do a lot of work for professional associations, and then we do a lot of work in the healthcare space. So those are kind of our three primary focuses of what we do. Of course, we do stuff outside of those areas, but mostly it's within those types of businesses. So, and it could be anything from kind of our bread and butter type video is like a documentary style story video. I don't like to use either of those words, but good interviews, B-roll, historical assets, trying to put something together that's special about a product brand, or, we do a lot of videos that are like award shows and stuff for big companies. And so, we go out and spend 2 days with somebody who's going to win a big national award, and we do a story about them.
Okay.
We do several projects a year that are like that. So those are great videos because they are, they're easier to make a profit on, because the level of production isn't as high as when you have to start to add in a lot of the other graphics and, more post-heavy work. This is, it's footage editing, and it's not it's time-consuming, but it doesn't involve a ton of cost,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and then, we do a lot of, social media ads and,
and
training.
you guys travel
videos.
a lot.
Travel a lot.
You said earlier, you're gone like 30 weeks?
I'm trying to travel a little bit less, but the average is, my average yearly flight count is in the 50s.
Wow.
So that's a lot. So, and then we got our crew, who we usually travel in our crew is usually a 3 to 4 person crew. And then we usually have between 4 to 8 production cases, that are, 70 to 100 pounds each. And so, it's a lot, we fly. So when we started, we
I was wanting to get to
we
this.
purchased a van. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah. No, not the van, but go on.
When we started, we purchased a van, Michael and I, a cargo van, and we were really excited about, our business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, 9/11 happened, and we had this van, and not a lot occurred for about 6 or 8 months after that for us. And we had this van that we spent, $35,000 on. We had a payment of about $450 a month, and this was eating through our capital. Mm-hmm. But we bought this van, and we wrapped it up with our logo, and we were driving this van around town, no jobs. We bought it. So,
but a mobile billboard.
Mobile billboard. We almost started to do FedEx package delivery with this thing. 'Cause we were like, "We're gonna do this damn
It's actually
van."
not a joke.
No, it's not. We were trying to figure it out.
What do we do with this van?
So it's a good lesson that we learned in our business early on is that we, and for the next 10 years and sometimes even still today, but when we're trying to make a big decision, especially a capital decision, we say, let's not make this another van because we bought the van too early because we were too excited to get to a point we weren't at yet. And so I think it's a really good lesson for any business person that you need to just be smart and calculated about the decisions that you're making that are involving your money. So, because that capital is so important to run your business. And when you want to be there so bad, but you're not really there, and you make dumb financial decisions to get there, you're going to pay for it. And luckily we got through it. And, but and the other thing is that we changed the name of our company. So we had to rewrap the van.
Oh, no kidding.
What was it originally?
Our original company, which is still our corporation, is KV Media Group. So our two last names, KV Media Group Inc. But it just wasn't like creative enough.
No.
And so we came up with Solid Line Media and changed it. And, we had to rewrap that stuff. So, so that's another thing is that, be pretty sure that you're sticking with your name before you wrap
the van.
But then we bought a box truck. Which was a crew cab GMC box truck, and we traveled around that. So we were driving.
Well, with the van, we started traveling quite a bit. And
Okay.
so we would bring tents with us. So we would tent camp along the way and maybe stay in a hotel when we were doing the gig if it was in a city. But I mean, it was mostly camping.
Yeah, we camped. And there was 3 of us, and it was very unsafe because the third person had to sit on an apple box
With
in
a
the
sound
center.
blanket.
So the center, there's a cargo van. So the middle seat was an apple box with a sound blanket on it, and no seatbelt.
Nice.
Wow.
So we drove across. We drove to L.A. To everywhere. I mean, for years we went.
Never got pulled over?
100,000 miles in this thing. Never. Yeah.
Well, then you just close the back.
And we had
so
a-
they don't
and
see
we
it.
had a-
it was just gear back there.
We had a DVD, one of those little DVD players that flipped up, and you put the DVD in it, and we had one of it sat on the front dash, and we all, drove and watched these movies.
That middle spot, though, became the ultimate spot because we figured out how to reorganize the gear in the back and be able to open up the little gate. And I think if I remember, gear was over the top, so it was almost like a little cave. And we had sleeping bags,
Yeah, so
and
you could
so that
sleep.
person could actually lay down and sleep
Very-
in
Wow.
the center.
Very
Yeah.
not OSHA approved. But yeah, then we got the box truck, and then then we had these boxes under the box truck with all our camping gear, and we camped in the box truck we used the box truck to camp for years, and then we
Years?
we had the box truck for 3 or 4 years.
Wow. So you would go, how often would you travel? I mean,
I mean,
is
we were
this
still
like weekly or monthly?
Every other week we were
Yeah,
on
I
the
would say
road
a couple
at
times
least.
a month,
We were
yeah.
gone. I mean, all the time on jobs. We got a gig in DC. Get in the truck. We always drove. We never flew. We didn't start flying until 2013. I mean, we flew sometimes, but
Yeah.
we didn't start flying. And in 2008 we graduated to what was the ultimate, we called the Manifest Destiny, which was a custom 48-foot semi-conversion
This is where I
rig.
was, this is where I was wanting to get to.
It was built on a Volvo chassis, a D12 Volvo chassis, the same as the semi you see on the road, with a custom, it had bunks, bathroom, kitchen, couch, satellite TV. It was awesome. And then the back 15 feet was a garage where we had our big, doorway dolly and a thing called a math jib in there, and all the stands and bells and whistles, and we had a golf cart in there. And so we'd get on location,
Living
and
the
the
dream.
big back would come down, and our production, and everything was wrapped, of course,
Yeah.
branded. And the
Is
little
there-
golf cart would come out. And,
So I don't know. When we went out to lunch for the first time, you showed me that.
Yeah.
And that has been in my mind ever since.
oh, it was awesome.
Yeah. Is there
And you
anywhere?
pull up on location, people would be like,
yeah.
"Who are these guys?"
Is there anywhere?
And then
Anywhere
I
we
got a
can
bunch of
see it?
nobodies. They thought they
Do
were.
you guys have anywhere online?
Yeah, you could search. You could search Solid Line Media Bus, and you'll see pictures of
Can
it
you
on Google.
Can you do that, Kiko? Because it's worth seeing. Because this thing's massive
It is massive.
and wrapped.
It was so fun.
that is so cool.
But you had to do a lot of additional logistics with that thing because we had to plan ahead everywhere we went to
where
get
can we park
film
it?
permits for parking in cities and stuff. So there was like a whole additional layer of planning for the bus. if we were on a location that wasn't like a big parking lot where we could park
Yeah.
it at. But it turned into be, what was really cool about it is that it was our home on the road. And so we lived in Walmart parking lots for 6 years. We went to campgrounds sometimes, but when we got on location, the thing turned into be our production office. And that's where, if we had talent was in there. It was like a talent trailer. If it was just us, we'd go out and, that's where just our kind of our office sort of headquarters was for the shoot. And then, back up and move on to the next thing. Yeah, there it is.
Can you zoom into that, Kiko? Look at that thing.
Yeah, there it is.
Wow.
That's pretty serious.
It was
Yeah.
awesome. It was so much fun. That's right outside Vail, Colorado. So
That is so
Big
cool.
old lift gate on there.
yeah, it was fun. And on the back, had like all our social media and stuff. You could say like follow the crew. And then we actually had our client DHL who offered to pay us $5,000 to put DHL on the back, say powered by DHL or whatever. And so
Did you take it?
we did not take
Nah.
it because
Say
it's just
Triple
a little
that.
bit too. I don't know.
that. Yeah, when you showed me that,
We didn't want people trying to hand us packages while we were.
that
But it
to
was
me is so cool.
But in 2013, we had to get rid of the bus because it was just too much. You got off the road and you had 3 hours of cleaning up and
Yeah.
getting it back to
yeah.
the garage. And, there was problems with it. It was always $1,000 problem. And we had we had families and kids, and we didn't have the luxury of just being on the road and having a
Yeah.
good time anymore. We had to be a
So-
little bit, we had to grow
It
up a
seems
little
like
bit.
it seems. I mean, immediately it comes to mind like a event or like location broadcast style
Yeah,
workflow.
yeah, it would-
like
yeah.
you bring the truck, you're there, you're just like
Yeah.
sportscasters, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gear
It's
was
had that
getting
sort of vibe.
smaller. Our schedule was getting tighter. Our business was growing. We needed more time. We needed to be home more. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
So we needed to start flying. So we started flying on Southwest Airlines because they have a deal for film crews where you can fly your gear for free. So, up to
Yeah.
100 pounds per case. So that's kind of
yeah.
where
yeah.
we started flying.
So were these the single years camping while you're traveling and being in
not
that
for
big
him.
rig?
He's
Yeah, not for me. They were the single years for
Yeah, I mean,
Greg.
it's- well, I mean, not
somewhat.
so, the early
It's
early
complicated.
2000s. Yeah, then it wasn't. But and that's probably, I think, for both of us, we had kids in 2008 to 10. So those last couple of years of being on the road, and at this point though, Michael wasn't really on the bus.
Post.
Okay,
because-
okay.
Right.
Michael started to really run the post-production department probably in 2009. He kind of came off the road, and we realized like we got to divide and conquer our business. So he took post-production, I took production, and so he wasn't on the bus for probably the last few years of that part. So
It's just so it's so fascinating to me because I think, I mean, a lot of the people that listen to the podcast are themselves business owners in the creative industry, but the average person doesn't realize how much it takes to start your dream and pursue it and continue it and push forward, look to the future, not only just like from the psychological aspect of like, where are we going? Is this going to work? Client to client, it's rocky in the beginning. And then I'm just thinking about the willpower and like, I love being a bit of a free spirit, but I do not want to be traveling for a week and camping in every spot after a shoot. I want to be in a nice hot shower and out to dinner.
I mean,
so that takes a lot.
we just were conscious about the money
Yeah.
side of it, and just
We were also traveling for free. That was our
we were
kind of
we
our
were
Had to
yeah,
minimize
we
it.
were not charging, but it was just like we wanted to. We were, and even today, it's always like you look at the financial picture, and want to make sure that we're in a secure enough position that 6 to 12 months down the road, like there's no problems. So the more we spend on things that are nice, which are really nice, but it comes out of our bottom line most of the time. Now, sometimes clients are paying the way, even though we charge for travel for free. Sometimes a lot of our clients still pay for hotels and stuff for us.
Yeah.
But it's just, and we stay. It's not. I mean, when we're traveling now, it's we stay at Hilton's and stuff. But it's but every dollar we spend that's, more than what we could spend is, those dollars are just coming out of the operating account. And so, it's just trying to make that I mean, every decision you make it's a calculated decision of, what's the best decision for the business. And sometimes you splurge and sometimes you're
Is the market price meal a good choice for tonight?
Yeah, if it says MP, I always say, hey, grab it. You're worth it.
That's Josiah's motto. Anytime we're out in Chicago with some crew.
This has a price on it. I don't know. No, I can't go with that. Can I have the MP menu, please?
Yeah. You're with if you're a crew member that you got is questioning what the MP is, you're like, it's not for you. If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah, that's just. Well, I didn't know. I knew that you traveled in that big rig, but I did not know about the camping. That's amazing.
It was fun. I mean, it was just. I don't know.
You got to hustle.
Yeah, hustle. I mean, when I look back at it, it's like, man, I wouldn't want to do it any other way. But
I wouldn't want to do it again either.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, that was. I mean, because we were, we got in some, rain and you're muddy and you're trying to put your shit.
That's what I'm envisioning.
Then you're getting back to, it's just like, and then, you're getting in the box truck and someone's sleeping in the back, the second, the bench in the back, and you're just like, but what I think about is just the hours we spent on the road traveling. We've traveled to the West Coast, 10 times, 12 times, who knows? We've traversed every road in this country so many times, and not even, including the hundreds and hundreds of flights that we've been on now, but just the driving and just, the conversations you have on the road with the crew, driving nonstop, to get there. It's just like so many great moments of just conversation and just, learning about people and talking through things and coming up with ideas. But I'll tell you, on that bus, we had 3 people and we drove. We always agreed on the shifts before we left the trip. So was it going to be, we drove straight through usually to the location. So because you could sleep on the bus, and so if we were going to say Phoenix, Arizona, and it's a 30-hour drive, we would decide, is it a 3-hour shift, a 4-hour shift, or a 5-hour shift of driving? And so with 3 drivers with a 5-hour shift, which was a long shift to drive, but you got 5 on and 10 off. And those 10 off were pretty nice.
Yeah.
And I just remember that, and there was always a 15-minute warning when you were in your bunk. You got a call from the driver, And I remember being in my bunk at 2:00 in the morning, just like it's yesterday, and that damn phone goes off. Because when you're riding on the road in your bunk, it's so nice because it's like just the rumbling of the road, and and it's like, damn, I got to get up and do the 2 a.m. shift. But I got to be, 10 hours off, so I can't really complain.
15 minutes to wake up.
Yeah, so when I travel, not quite like that, but we've done. My friend
Twin
John
Cities
and I
yesterday.
Yeah, that
Back,
was
up and back in the same
8
day.
hours driving, 6 hours, 7 hours shooting, and back home before dinner.
That's a long day.
Yeah, it is. But we just had a 3-week trip, Phoenix, Arizona, New Mexico. Then we went to Salt Lake City, and then back home, a couple places in between there. But our longest day, we always stop at hotels, so that's nice. We break it up. But we had a 24-hour day it was like basically, I think that was actually a truck. It was it might have been like a Subaru type vehicle too. But when you don't have much space and you're in a vehicle for 24 hours,
it's a lot.
Man, you get cranky. So I remember saying to my friend, I was like, look, that's never going to happen again. It's like, we can't, because that is not sustainable. Because that's how I think. Like, is this something we can do long term?
We did all of our own meals too. And I would say that's also what got old pretty fast, was not just cooking, but having to clean up. So we got really lazy with the meals. So it was always the
Dirty
same
dishes.
meals.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got so sick of, what do we call them? Bus beans?
Crew beans.
Crew beans.
It was just like baked beans in a crock pot with like bratwurst.
Yeah, I was going to say bratwurst.
Bunch of stuff in there mixed together. And it was like this big crock pot. It is, it's just rolling on the road.
A bunch of dudes in
the
one
crew beans.
truck and
Eating beans.
That's not a
I
recipe.
know, right?
That's
And they'd be like, what are we doing again? Just don't even ask. It's crew beans.
I mean, even road food gets gross. Eating out at places.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, I just want to go home and have a nice meal. I think you guys have been doing this for so long, and I'm just thinking about the business aspect, not necessarily the creative side of it, but like, what do you think has been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned in running a company with multiple people? Outside of you had people internally at some point. Right now, it's freelancers, correct?
We have,
or do people internally?
We have 5. There's 5 of us.
5. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So managing that, managing the financial side of it, managing clients, do any lessons stick out to you from the years that you've learned?
What's the secret sauce, guys?
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's really what I'm getting at. How do I make more money?
Well, that's the thing is that it depends on what your goal is. I mean, we learned a lesson. I don't know when it was, several years in, always trying to get to that next level of sales. I want to make, I want our sales number to be, 500, then 700, then whatever it was.
Yeah.
And, the sales number doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the profit.
What's left over.
And so, if you got $1 million of sales and $100,000 profit, the same thing as if you got $200,000 of sales and $100,000 profit. So, it's like we were not profit focused for a long. I mean, I'm not going to say we weren't, but we were
Revenue focused.
we're much more profit focused now. I know that sounds silly, but I'm telling you, like it was always like, what's your sales goal next year? It's like, well, what's your profit goal? It's more important in our opinion. So I think, just being really conscious about what you're spending and having a plan and a budget and all that stuff, as much as it's not too fun to do that businessy stuff all the time. Even as a freelancer, I think you got to set goals for how you're managing your business. But we got to a point in 2012 where we had 12 employees, and it was great. We had so much business and sales were high. But the problem is that we were taking jobs that didn't make sense to keep the system running because we had so many, people. And so we just realized that, we didn't want to be that stressed, and have to deal with that. So, having a little bit of a smaller shop for us is a little bit more our style, where we can focus on the kinds of jobs that we really want to do and do less of them, but do them really well versus just plowing through content, and maybe some stuff going out the door that's like, ugh, I mean, all right. We took this job for, this price, and it's like, we know it's hard to be profitable there, but we did it because we wanted to keep these guys busy or whatever. So, it's, I think it's just like, you got to decide how big you want to be. You got to make sure that you can manage the size of your business, and that's still, that you're still achieving the goals that you want personally as a business owner. And, some people want to grow and expand, and, some people just want to keep it.
Yeah. Is it worth the headache?
Smaller. Yeah, I mean, it was. I think
shop.
about it. It was like so cool to walk in, and we just had literally 12 people in our 4,000 square foot office in Chicago, and every seat was full, and there was so much stuff going on, and the creative energy was awesome.
Yeah,
that was great. But we were killing ourselves, man.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, it was just way too much, and we didn't really have a good conversation about, how that was good. We just kept like, oh, we're growing our business because that's what you do. You grow, and it was like, well, we don't necessarily need to have more and more people and more business to grow. We can focus more on cultivating the types of jobs that are going to be the most profitable for us with, a staff that makes sense to achieve those kind of
right sizing.
Right sizing. I like that, Josiah. That's good, right sizing. And we right sized. Over the years.
I completely just came up with that. Just
that's
kidding.
good.
It's like a housing market
Right
term,
side.
but
That'll be a social media clip,
Yeah.
Right sizing.
what you're going to want to do to right size your business is
That's
So how often, just kind of question that came to my mind is, you guys have really hugged into the corporate video world, like that. You say that you're very blatant about it, like
Corporate videos. It's a
Yeah.
lot. Yep. Go ahead.
So how much of I'm just curious, versus like maybe more the I don't know, narrative commercial side of stuff or whatever. So how often are you working directly with like the end client? So like corporate whoever it is versus like an agency as a middle person, or like how does that pan out?
Probably 99%. What you said?
Direct?
Yeah, it seems like
Okay,
most of
yeah.
our clients hire us directly to bypass an agency. It seems
Yeah.
like a lot of times. Now we do work with agency, we do agency work, but I would say most of the time, if they are working with an agency, somehow they are directly working with us to take care of the video portion of the
Yeah.
of the project.
For sure.
And that seems to be more common in the corporate world, I think, than advertising in general.
Yeah, because the price that they're going to pay to go through the agency, when the agency is probably just going to outsource.
Yeah.
It's
sure.
just people have figured out that, we could provide all the creative services. I mean, we're acting as an agency pretty much anyway.
Yeah.
And so, we can do we do concept development, writing, planning, project management, so it is really
It's just specifically in that video.
Just it's only in video.
to have an
yeah.
agency hire a company like us is kind of redundant because,
Yeah.
they would end up just being, they could, if they were just hiring us for their production side, I guess that would be one thing, but, we're capable, I guess, of doing more than that. So it just makes sense for most of our clients to come directly to us. And, the cool thing about our client relationships that we have is that, a lot of these clients we've been working with for so many years that we've just learned their brands. We understand, the rules and the expectations. And sure, we push the boundaries as much as possible, but they don't have to continuously be re-explaining to a new person about what can and can't be done or whatever. And so they, when, they can just come to us with another project and say, hey, here's what we got going on,
Yeah, you
make it
know
happen.
their business. You're going to be
Yeah.
around next year.
And that's a big selling feature for us is like, look, you're working with the same core team and, we're going to
It's amazing how much businesses will pay for convenience too,
Yeah.
of just not having to have the headache of finding
Finding,
someone
yeah.
else or
Yeah,
doing.
the businesses who are really focused on the communications people or whoever's working on the video project, when they really have their departments well organized of where that person's focus is like, I need to achieve these projects and I've been given the green light to hire the right people to get them done the right way, instead of, a lot of companies will take these kinds of people and be like, put way too much responsibility on them to be doing jobs that they really
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing.
The IT guy's supposed to, oh, you're techie. You should.
Well, the IT
be
guy,
the video,
IT guy knows how to run a camera, so the IT guy is now doing camera work. It's like, all right, well, the
He
IT
runs
guy,
our CCT cameras. I mean, what's the difference?
So, the most of the time we're in a situation, at least with the jobs that we do, where those people are empowered to hire companies like us to get the job done, and it just works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably
Better.
more concerned about how easy it is for them to get what they need from you than they are about the budget even.
Yeah.
They're just like,
Yeah,
they're going to make me look good in my department.
yeah.
I don't have to think about it. These
Yep.
are the guys to go with.
Because I think that is what most corporate people are very concerned with, is that they want not only the project to, of course, achieve the goals of the business, but they also need the project to make them look good.
Yeah.
Because that is their business, that is their,
Yeah.
and they are trying to rise up and get promotions and get this and that. So the project has to make them look good. And I
Corporate ladder. Yeah.
And I think that problems come in sometimes when we talk about the approval process, where it's like, I'm ready to sign. I've done everything I can in this project to give my feedback, and I'm ready to sign off on it. But I'm still kind of scared how my boss is going to react to it. So I have to give my boss an opportunity to chime in, because I don't want my boss to
Make
be
him
mad
feel
at
like
me.
he's got his stamp on
Because
it.
it's like, they're concerned with their world, their job. And so they've got to get sort of the clearance from the boss, because, to make sure that they're not going to look bad.
That tape makes total sense. We were just talking to, who were we talking? Corbin, maybe? About basically his comment he had was like, I feel like a lot of I'm paraphrasing. I feel like a lot of times my job is just trying to make sure that the marketing coordinator doesn't get fired.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah,
him
that was
make him
Corbin.
look good.
I mean,
Was
it
Corbin?
is. Yeah, it is. That's part of the thing. It's not. It's about what they're trying to achieve, and also what the business needs. So
Which is just
Yeah.
a totally different mindset than, like, for instance, I need to sell this widget direct to consumer or
Yeah.
something. Like it's a focus
Yeah.
on a different area.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of the questions I was because you guys work with so many big brands and have worked with so many big companies. Do you have a process or kind of things you found helpful over the years to, number one, make new connections and new relationships with the right business partners, or not business partner, but partners that you're going to work with, companies? And how do you nurture those? How do you foster that relationship and keep building it so they do come back over the for the next decade, however long you've been working with some of those companies?
You want to take that?
Kiko, you want to
Michael
speak
must
on this
chime
one?
in.
Or
One thing that comes to mind, I'm not sure if this actually answers your question, but one thing we've learned over the years is we have this incredible relationship with a client, and then that client leaves that company.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're devastated. I mean, we have that call, like it's almost like we're having to go to a funeral. I mean, it's terrible. Or you're like, wow, we've put a lot into this relationship, and it's been a great relationship. And then what we've quickly learned early on is that person goes to a new company, but then leaves our name behind. So now all of a sudden we're doing a project for that company where that person left, and now we all of a sudden have a new, we call them champions or cheerleaders, sideline champions or cheerleaders. And we've had several, dozens of these clients that have just gone through different jobs throughout the last 20 some years. And really that's probably been our biggest lead generation.
so you're saying people who stayed at the company that your contact left become?
Yeah, so our main contact would leave,
Yeah.
but then leave our name behind for whoever took over the responsibility,
Yeah,
or maybe
gotcha.
somebody on their staff would do the next
You
project
must-
with us, and then we'd get to meet the new person that was hired in that
Yeah.
person's job.
I can tell you work in healthcare.
Yeah, when it works, yeah.
But
When
it really
find
has
that
happened
you-
in many different industries.
Yeah,
Like it's, and I think that's just about being good people and producing good work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is like, what do you think is the differentiator between them leaving?
And do you find the guy who left, do you get connected at a new company sometimes?
Well,
with
that's
in
what
that
I'm
situation?
saying. That's
Yeah, okay.
a
So it's like
majority of
both.
that person goes to a new company, and then also we're hearing from them in 6 months they have a project. And
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, we never thought we were going to hear that name again, and here we are working for them again at a new company. So.
Yeah, when the company A client of ours doesn't leave our name behind and doesn't get a new job, that's the worst.
case. We did something wrong.
That's not good.
Yeah.
But I'd say our business right now is pretty much repeat referral. We don't just that's mostly been keeping us pretty busy. We do have stuff, we have profiles on various pages online, and people find us and we'll submit, job requests or whatever. But most of the stuff that we get is jobs that we do like on a yearly basis, for these companies where they have event, programs or whatever that happen, yearly, or they have video budgets that get renewed every year for more stuff. So keeps us pretty busy, and we work on the relationship building with those clients, and still still do
How do you do that?
dinner, just like when we're out in the field, we always make a point to schedule time to do stuff after this, like, hey, we'd like to do a dinner. We want to catch up. We're taking some clients to baseball game this summer. We're taking 2 weeks this fall down at the Salty Lime and Marathon, and we're hosting clients there. And so, just doing things to show that the relationship still means something in this world is kind of how we have taken an approach on that. And so, but you still occasionally lose stuff to budget.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature, I guess, of the game. But the more you can develop those relationships and focus on providing the best possible, result within the budget that they have allocated, it's that's how you do it.
Make that effort.
That's how we do it. I don't know. That's how the right way to do it.
Relationships are the most important thing.
They are, and I think we've lost a lot of what that means because of COVID. I know, we left our office, we had office in Chicago for 20 years and our lease was up in April of 2020.
Convenient time.
And so we had a new office we were moving to, but we bailed on it and we went remote, which we had been talking about doing for a few years, but we were too scared because, we want to have the clients into the office and want to show them around and have the, the staff all together and the creative collaboration, which is huge. But we took that, we left that type of work and we all are now in our own little worlds every day working, and it works, but you still don't have that sitting around in our circle. We used to have a big circle of club chairs and, we'd have a daily morning meeting for half hour and there was just camaraderie and
Probably
creativity.
just have to be a lot more intentional about it because you're not.
So now we do
proximity.
stuff on Zoom and whatever, but it's not the same. And I think that the interpersonal relationships side of not only working with your employees or freelancers or whatever, but also your clients, it's more difficult now because people are more like, they're less likely to leave their homes like they did before. So you really got to work at it and find unique, creative ways to connect with your clients on that personal level, so that you can not just be another vendor, but you can be someone that they, know how much you're appreciating the work that they're giving you and what that means to you and your world and your family. And that creates that better working relationship.
In a way, I feel like it's almost made it easier to differentiate though, because so many people will be like, oh, we'll make it a phone call. Or so if you actually go out of your way to show up at their office or, have a coffee with them, like it's almost a bigger deal than it used to be because, people don't do that anymore.
Yeah. I used to make it a point to do 4 trips a year to just go visit with a client. And sometimes it was somebody we hadn't worked with in a little while, but I'd just be like, hey, I'm going to be in New York next week. Can we have lunch or whatever? And then, and they'd be like, I wasn't.
Lo and behold, you're actually just there to meet with them.
I would not be there for any other reason. And they'd be like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I got some other business we're working on. Blah, blah, blah. But, and sometimes I'd be like, I just actually came out to see you. And they'd be like, wow. It's like, do you have any jobs? Like, nope. You want to split the tab?
One thing I thought of though is from a positive sense that from COVID and going remote is just talent. Before we were based in Chicago, so it was required that people would come in and work in the office. So one thing that's neat now is having staff that's not in the Chicago area. And being able to recruit people outside of the Chicago area has been really kind of fun and neat, and just to work with different types of people. So
and I always think about the fact that it's so important to have we're in a weird virtual world to some extent, so it's so important to get together and go out to lunch. We're always having people here. Come to City Stage. Let's talk about what's up. Let's catch up. And it becomes it's an isolating kind of world, especially if you're you guys been working together and you work consistently with same group of people. But for freelancers, it's a totally different kind of world. You're on set. You're working. All right, maybe do a dinner afterwards. But it's such an important aspect to get that energy into there's more to your work than just work, build the relationship and foster and nurture it. I interrupted you. Were going to say something before?
I can't remember.
Sorry. It was the meaning of life. I think you were
we never answered that question. So I think we should get back to it.
What do you think is in store for you guys in the future? Are you working on any big money plays? What would be in the future for Solid Line?
We're trying to figure out what we want to do when we grow up.
Yeah.
And, I always say that recently because it's kind of true. I mean, we're not old. We're 45 years old, and we've been doing this for a long time. And so there has been discussions about our, exit strategy.
What's the next shift?
What's the succession plan? Exit strategy? Is there a succession of Solid Line Media? We like to think that this business can live on for a while and potentially under someone else's command. But, I think that, we're going to keep on doing what we do over the next couple of years. We've started this property investment company because we just are looking to do something different and still use our creative needs. In revitalizing this property, we were able to, we did the design, we did the work. So it was like just a different way of using the creative, our creative abilities, I guess you could say. So we're looking to kind of grow that. And also
it was project based too, which I think just fit with video production.
Yeah.
It was very project based.
it was kind of like similar to what the kind of skill set that we had, I guess you could say, to be able to do something like this. But, we would hopefully we'll get a plan in place in the next 5 years that will determine what the future of Solid Line is.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that I'm not probably going to be,
Traveling
traipsing
50
around.
trips a year.
I mean, if I can get
next 10
somebody
years.
to carry the cases where I don't have to touch them,
That's a step in the
then
right
that's
direction.
like the first
You
step.
can. You just have to pay them.
Yeah, but even sometimes, you'd be like, you're going to carry the camera case and leave me with the tripod? No, I don't. Camera case is really easy. The tripod is like one of those.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have our second tripod case with us, which doesn't even have wheels on it right now. So it's just like you just drag it on the ground, and and if it's sitting there at the airport, I will leave it there. I will not drag that case. So we're like, I guess we don't have a tripod.
Yeah.
No, but it's hopefully we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure you will.
We want it to keep going, and it's still fun. We have such great opportunities and clients, and I think that it's hard to believe some days that after 23 years of this business, and then an additional 6 years of making videos when we were kids together, that we're still doing this and we're still making content, and don't have to, we're only working for ourselves. I guess we're, I don't like people to say, if you have to, if you don't love your job, you don't, have to work a day in your life or whatever they say. But we still got to work our ass off. Some days we don't love it.
Yeah.
But to be able to do this and to be able to have had this opportunity for our career so far to grow this business on our own is really cool.
Yeah,
and special.
it is.
And I'm proud of what we've done, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with it in the future.
Yeah.
Well said.
I would add another probably 5 years onto your timeline of when you want to do something else, because I feel like it's going to be difficult for both of you to after doing this.
I know it's
It's
hard
your
to think
baby,
about. People are it's just we've ever since we made that news show at Eisenhower called WEMS News. We've always been the video guys. That was before video was cool, and we're just the video guys. It's just what we've done our whole life. I don't think anyone would ever, we wouldn't be able to walk in and be like, oh, how's the video business going? It's like, well, no, I'm into
sushi now.
I'm doing
a sushi show.
I'm doing accounting. Speaking of accounting, I will say one good tip for people who are in business is that you need to understand what your strengths are, and you got to stay in your lane. Because for 20 years
He's going to throw me under the bus.
of our business, Michael Crom was our head of finance. And
I went to film school.
yeah, and he managed the QuickBooks and stuff. And we had an accounting meeting every other week, and we went through everything. And there would be a lot of meetings where we would be going through the books and stuff. Be like, well, at the end of the month, we should have I think about $45,000 or 50. Yeah, that we should have about $50,000 whatever. And then we go to the meeting, and I was like, oh, but I didn't add in the American Express bill. That's 30.
Ooh, we got payroll.
And he's like, yeah, the payroll taxes. That's so like, are we negative? It went from like, what's going on? Is $50,000 to zero? So Michael's wife, Lindsay, God bless her, took over. She's got a finance degree.
Oh,
this
wow.
whole time.
What?
She has had a finance degree. And she took over as our director of finance and comptroller We say that because it's just such a cool name to have a comptroller.
We don't even know what it means.
No, we don't. And she's been doing that for us for several years, and boy, has she just whipped that department up into shape. And it's just incredible. And we have these meetings every few weeks, and they are just the reports are perfect, the numbers are perfect, everything is just great. So, if you're not the numbers person, it's good to have a professional doing that, because the other thing about it, I mean, Michael did an excellent job. I'm just joking around, but you'd spend 1 or 2 days a week on this.
Wow.
And Michael's skill set is editing. That's what he's a fantastic editor, and that's what you need to be doing, And it's focusing on what you're really good at in your business and hiring other people to do the other stuff. I just think is really smart, because you're not going to be doing something you don't excel at very well.
So Michael, the comptroller, dream has just been.
I hated every minute of it. I did. It was something I really never enjoyed.
I know one part of it. What's the one part that you loved?
Cashing checks.
Cashing the checks.
It's the best part of it. Other than that, it's terrible.
In Chicago, we, a couple days a week, we went on a walk to the bank and had lunch. And the walk to the bank is the best part of the business.
Yeah.
So nowadays they just put it in your bank account.
Yeah,
but back then
it's not as satisfying.
We'd get the checks and we'd be like, man, let's go to the bank.
Yeah.
So
you could take that to the bank.
You could take it to the bank.
To the bank.
Yeah, the ACH transfers are great but it's not as fun.
Yeah.
So
the first time I heard the word comptroller, I think, was remember Rita Crundwell down in Dixon? There was a comptroller.
Was that with the horses? Right, she was like a horse lady.
Millions of dollars from this little town.
Yeah, because comptroller is sometimes elected.
It was like
position.
a quasi government thing or something. But I was sent out as a stringer to get some footage of them repossessing her horses and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm like, what's a comptroller? I guess I'll look this up.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Well, we did not. We did not have a election for our comptroller. We were just like, you don't even have to interview.
Yeah.
You got the job.
Well, guys, I think that's a good spot to wrap this up. We're at over an hour and a half. So,
wow, that's good.
Really appreciate your time. It's been a fun little glimpse into your world and how you started. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.